The only piece of water or little piece of water that they gave us is the Gulf of Guinea. That's how powerful Guinea is. But this young man is not so sure about what Guinea is. There's Guinea, you got Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea. We even have Papua and New Guinea. And we got a waterway called Gulf of Guinea. If you know about Dr. Amo, a Ghanaian who was a very powerful professor in Germany, whenever they used to address letters, finally he left Germany and came back to Ghana. That time, Ghana was not Ghana. That time, Ghana was not the Gold Coast. When they used to address letters to him, they used to address it to Guinea. So you're talking about almost the whole continent called a Guinea, and yet this gentleman didn't know that, you know, that's how powerful nation that he's coming from. But basically, I just wanted to indicate that the panelists should have addressed it in such a way that, you know, other young people who are conflicted just like he was should, you know, actually be proud of who they are. Guinea is the most powerful nation in Africa. It may be what Europeans call backward or underdeveloped or things like that nature, but Guinea, Papua New Guinea, how did people all the way in the Pacific Ocean know that they once came from Africa? But that time too, maybe they didn't know, but then when they left the Nile Valley, they didn't know Archibald is no more in existence. The Guinea was it. So when they set sail, they still remember Guinea, and that's how they created a new nation. I would have addressed it that way, but let's move on. Mr. Milton Alimadi made a remark about the name of the body of water, that the longest river on earth gets its source. He said Ugandans had names for this body of water, but the British gave it their own name, Lake Victoria. A name Mr. Alimadi disapproves. Uganda has been independent for over half a century. This is what your flyer tried to address. Why have we legalized our colonizers' languages as our official languages instead of our own? Why are they not changing the name back to its indigenous name?
That's a very good question. And to answer that question, I will pose another question. Why aren't African children taught their indigenous language instead of their colonized language as we asked? And why aren't we practicing our religion before we were colonized? There are so many things that we've left behind, and I think Ngugi wa Thiong'o clarifies that in his book, Decolonizing the Mind, that we left so many things behind that are now hindering our growth. Names are extremely important in African context. I think Binta Diop mentioned that when she goes to Senegal and she says her name is Binta Diop, every Senegalese know what family she's from. Okay. They know her history. Me, for example, when I see someone and I say my name is Dziffa Ametam, they know that I'm African. Okay. When I see a Ghanaian and I say my name is Dziffa Ametam, they know that I am from the Ewe tribe. Okay. And when I meet someone who's Ewe and I tell them my name, they know the meaning of my name. Right. So my name is who I am. It's my identity. Just like the waters and all these magnificent things in the continent that have been changed symbolize everything that we are. Nkrumah, for example, changed Gold Coast to Ghana after we won our independence to symbolize our greatness and our retrieving back to our values to grow. And leaving those things out hinder some of our development, if not all of it.
Right.
And I think that was Mr. Ali Mahdi's point. But it should also be noted that some leaders have tended to use retrieving your indigenous name for political purposes, which is even worse than what the colonizers did to us. And if you can remember, Mobutu, when he was losing control of his people, decided to start naming his country's indigenous names.
Right.
It's very dangerous when you do that, because the people need to know the value of the name that you're giving to it. It shouldn't just be a brand. It should represent who they are and what they used to be, and it should remind them to go back and retrieve more about themselves. So it's very important for us to retrieve things that we have lost along the way, because we are suffering from cultural ethnocide that may kill us. That's even worse than genocide, not knowing who you are or what you represent or what people have done before you.
Now, can you inculcate this into part of your overall goal? Because young people like yourselves, you can change things. You are knowledgeable about the social media. You are able to, you can make people sign petitions online so that you change things. For example, in South Africa, the Bushmen, they still call them the Bushmen. South African government can erase that. When Rhodesia became independent, right, they changed the name to Zimbabwe. They changed their capital to Harare. If, for example, Europeans were calling these Abattoir people Bushmen, and South Africa still allows it to linger, it is left with you, the youth, to bring this to the forefront. I'm asking you this, and I'm actually challenging you to think about this. Is it possible for you to inculcate something like this into your agenda?
Yes, definitely. It all goes back to knowing yourself and what you represent. So it's first we need to educate ourselves on what we've lost, and then find ways of retrieving that. For example, I know some Ghanaians who, when they came to this country, their parents deliberately refused to speak their native tongue to them because they did not want the child to have the accent. So now the child is growing up without the language, and now he or she is losing herself. So it's very important for us to, like you said, go back and retrieve things that have been taken from us. And move on. So we definitely incorporating all these things into our academic agenda.
Okay, that's beautiful. As a parent and a grandparent, I can tell when the youth behave in a certain way. I am sensing something from your topic. Tell me something besides the Guinean whom we just dealt with. Are your colleagues experiencing some identity crisis?
Yes, the reason we came to this topic of the African identity, does it nurture or hinder the development of young Africans, is because a lot of us were suffering from it when we were in high school. When we first came to this country, we were teased by our peers because we were Africans. And Chidimanda Ngozi says in her story, The Danger of a Single Story, that if you show a people as one thing, as only one thing, that is what they will become. So because people had this simple-minded view and negativity of the continent, we had to pay the price for it. We had to face, and I think Yoliswa Tele mentioned this in her talk during the conference, that she had to constantly explain to people that no, I don't have a pet lion, and no, I don't walk around with my feet bare, and no, we're not always at war, and we're not beggars. one of the panelists, Binta Diop, came to this country with $12,000 at the age of 20. So this is somebody that wasn't poor. So why should someone see me and automatically think that I represent negativity? This is what we are battling with as the new generation, and we don't want the next generation to suffer from that. This is why we called these panelists to tackle that issue and mold solutions to it.
Now, do you have a newsletter for your association?
No, but we do have a website, lehmanasa.org, where we post books of the semester. We highlight the works of students on campus. So anybody who would want to learn more about what we are doing can go on our website and find out everything about the organization.
Okay, why I'm asking that question is because as we address these things, we also need to have, say, like a committee, which writers, you assemble writers, so you can project these images in the written word, so that people can read.
Yes.
You know, it's a suggestion. One of your goals is to create a mentoring program to help the young people. How do you plan to do that?
As I mentioned earlier, we are partnering up with a nonprofit organization called US Africa Synergy, and we are currently in the process of reaching out to high schools that have a decent amount of Africans in there to start our mentorship program with them. And our movie screenings is a gateway to that. Because once again, we don't want to make the mistake that most activists do when they come to Africa. They come in and they think, you need a house, so I'm going to give you a house, when maybe the person does not even need the house.
Right.
You know, they just need a bucket.
Yes.
So we are trying to do this movie screening with the kids to have an icebreaker, then speak to them about what they really need and how we can use our resources to invest in their development. So once we start this movie screening, we will let people know the time and everything. And we are also going to have a follow-up to the conference. We're going to screen a movie, Heritage Africa, somewhere in February. So anybody who wants to watch it can go on our website and find more information on it soon.
Okay. What other cultural programs is going to be part of this?
Next semester, or?
Any
we are open to any ideas that are investing in the intellectual and social development of Africans. We are not limiting ourselves. So any ideas that people have, we are more than willing to incorporate it into our overall goal to paint a different picture of Africans in the diaspora and on the continent.
Okay. When we are drawing, come to a conclusion, you highlight, you know, your information, how they can contact you, you know, your website and everything, and we'll also display it on the screen. I want to read you a quote from a book published in 1789 by Count C.F. Volney. And the name of the book is Ruins of Empire. There are a people now forgotten, discovered, while others were yet barbarians. The elements of the arts and sciences, a race of men now rejected for their sable skin and frizzled hair, founded on the study of the laws of nature, those civil and religious systems which still govern the universe. Are Africans missing something about themselves? Count Volney just pointed something that is very profound. If Africans don't know this, whose fault is it?
I think Africans have missed out on a lot of things in our history because we were told we were one thing when in reality we weren't.